I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Today, we're finally, I know it's like the end of February, we're starting our 2013 reviews. We've had this set of 9, and just Tom and I have just been so busy at our jobs. We work together at the same company in Ames, and it has just been a killer busy season. So we're a little bit delayed getting to 2013, but we're really excited to kick it off with Frightened Rabbit's Pedestrian Verse. This album came out at the end of January. Very kind of a move for Frightened Rabbit, a little bit more poppy than their original roots. Which, you know, this is their 4th album. You know, they came out. We reviewed Frightened Rabbit's Midnight Organ Fight by request in an album that came out in 2008. We reviewed it in 2010. In 2010, they released The Winner of Mixed Drinks, which you kind of saw if you've gone back and listened to that album. You can kind of see Frightened Rabbit's sound progression as it has its changed slowly over the years. You know, they started off being a really indie rock kind of sound. Very thick Scottish accent, and you know, it had this indie folk, indie rock kind of vibe to it it's just great songwriting.
Yes.
And you know, that continued on The Winner of Mixed Drinks, although it was more of an anthem feel to it, right? And then this album, you see still a lot of really good songwriting, but definitely a drift towards more of a poppier sound.
Yeah, they still mix in a lot of that traditional kind of folk instrumentation, but they try to take it in a little bit of a different direction.
Definitely.
And this is, I feel, a lot more focused on hooks.
Right.
The vocalist, I think, has made even the biggest change of all of the whole sound, contributing to that, because whereas he used to have this very cocky, kind of proud vibe to what he was singing, this is a little more introspective, a little more doubtful, kind of questioning, even starting with the first track, Acts of Man. You know, the lyrics are very thought-provoking, and he brings up some ideas that I don't think you would have had, at least so direct in their previous work.
Now, I've definitely not gotten into Winner of Mixed Drinks enough to really know the lyrics, but I've listened to Pedestrian Verse enough and Midnight Organ Fight to see a huge change in lyrical subject matter. These songs are a lot more serious, and like,
much more.
You know, you get to like the middle of the album, and you know, it gets some pretty dire lyrical subject matters where, you know, Midnight Organ Fight was mostly sexual driven.
Yes.
And so that kind of maturity there shows that they're willing to take more risks with their sound now. And you know, while the songs might inherently be more poppy from structure, they still have a lot of really good songwriting and hooks, as Tom was saying. You know, the one thing I noticed, they're also a lot more focused on beats on this album, and there is no track that shows that change better than Acts of Man, the first track on the album. And that when the beats finally come in on that song, I'm just blown away by the control they have over it, because it's just this slowly building song over the course of 5 minutes. You know, it just builds and then pounds you. You know, I like that. It's a good way to start the album. It shows that they're taking risks and experimenting with their sound. I think one of the problems, though, is that they have all these big songs right at the front of the album, and then the album kind of just goes and meanders away for a bit.
I totally agree. It's a classic case of kind of that back-end slump, some weaker tracks mixed in with it. I much prefer the first half of the album. For sure. Specifically, the song Woodpile is going to be one of my favorite tracks of the year.
That's a great track.
Keep coming back to that, but the quality of the songs just isn't quite as consistent. I really like the last track.
Yeah, me too.
The Oil Slick. Very good. But before that, there's some tracks that I just don't care for enough. My interest kind of wanes as it goes on, but it's still an enjoyable album. We mentioned when we reviewed the new Mumford & Sons album that we said this was a good band as an alternative to Mumford & Sons. If you kind of like that sound, but you were getting kind of sick of the poppiness, or that we thought they were doing kind of the same thing over and over again, I think Frightened Rabbit is still keeping it fresh. This may not be their best effort, but it's still definitely a band worth checking out, looking into, listening to their stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a solid album. I just don't feel like straight through it's as great of a listen as Midnight Organ Fight or other albums that are coming out right now. You know, the other thing is, like, this album was recorded a bit differently. Yeah. Where this one, they actually were recording this while they were on tour, so all these songs, or they started writing them while they were on tour, so all these songs kind of really are well-developed songs. They have them where they want, but it takes some of the edge away, you know?
It does. Some of the edge definitely is lost here. It's a little softer.
I mean, this is just a band where you expect to see more edge, more more of just kind of an attitude from him. And it just kind of that wasn't there. Still, I think this is a really solid album. I think I'm going to go 75 on it.
I'm going to go 72.
Great. So we're in the mid-70s. That's a solid rating from VIMTV. That means it's good, and you guys should check it out. You know, I think that if they would have maybe not had that slump, we would have seen some better tracks on the on like the middle to mid second half of the album. I think it would have been more closer to an 80, which is a really good album. Guys, what do you think about Pedestrian Verse? Let us know at www.velocitiesthemusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesthemusic. As always, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and tell us what you want to review from 2013. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
Storm, all the dark words pouring from my throat.